It's about that time in the NFL, free agency. Teams are making moves, and on Friday, the Seahawks and Raiders kicked things off with the first big trade of the offseason. Geno Smith's time in Seattle is officially over. The Seahawks and Raiders agreed to a deal that will send quarterback Geno Smith to Vegas, shaking up both franchises. Smith will be reunited with new Raiders head coach Pete Carroll, who coached him from 2019 through 2023. The duo had a strong relationship in Seattle, and the 73-year-old head coach even called Smith one of his favorite players to coach. Carroll was let go by Seattle in 2024 and sat out last season before making his return to the NFL. The Raiders hired him in February, hoping his leadership could bring stability to a struggling franchise. In exchange, the Seahawks will receive a 2025 third-round pick, 92nd overall. Meanwhile, the Raiders will absorb the remaining $31 million on Smith's contract. The move signals a fresh start for both teams. Vegas hopes Smith can provide stability at quarterback, while Seattle is shifting in a new direction. Smith had been with the Seahawks since 2019, initially serving as a backup. Before that, he was largely considered a bust after struggling with the Jets, Giants, and Chargers. Many thought his career as a starting quarterback was over. However, in 2022, Smith got his shot when the Seahawks traded Russell Wilson to the Broncos. Expected to be nothing more than a bridge quarterback, Smith shocked everyone with a breakout year.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though. That's the problem. I ain't right back. Let's go.
He earned a Pro Bowl nod, won Comeback Player of the Year, and led the Seahawks to the playoffs. That season, he threw for 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 11 interceptions, while completing 69% of his passes. His efficiency was remarkable, posting a 62.8 QBR and a 100.9 passer rating. As a reward, the Seahawks signed him to a 3-year, $75 million extension before the 2023 season began. But in 2024, things took a bit of a turn. With Mike McDonald taking over as head coach, Smith struggled to adapt to the new system. He threw 15 interceptions, third most in the league. And while Seattle still managed to a 10-7 record, they missed the playoffs. Despite his struggles, Smith remained clutch, recording 6 fourth-quarter comebacks, the most in the NFL since 2023. Smith was entering the final year of his deal, and Seattle initially wanted to negotiate an extension. However, talks stalled last week, and with no agreement in sight, the Seahawks decided to move on. Trading him now prevents Seattle from losing him for nothing in free agency next year. The move also helps their cap situation. Smith had a scheduled $44 million cap hit, but Seattle will save $17.5 million by dealing it. The Raiders, on the other hand, now have to decide whether to let Smith play out the contract or offer him an extension. They will likely sign him to extension very soon. Vegas is looking for a long-term stability at quarterback, but they aren't ruling out drafting a quarterback if a top prospect like Cam Ward or Sanders falls to them. Smith will be the 6th different starting quarterback for the Raiders since 2022, a major sign of the franchise's struggle to find consistency at the signal caller. The Raiders still have plenty of roster holes, but boast some intriguing talent. Star pass rusher Max Crosby remains the face of the defense, and second-year tight end Brock Bowers is a key weapon. Last season, wide receiver Jacoby Myers broke out with his first 1,000-yard receiving season, proving to be a reliable target. Even after acquiring Smith and extending Crosby, the Raiders still have around $44 million in cap space to work with. On the Seahawks side, the trade left them with the big question at quarterback. Before making any moves, they just had Sam Howell and Jaron Hill on the roster, 2 unproven options. Seattle was linked to several veteran quarterbacks in free agency, with reports serving that they had serious interest in Sam Darnold. A few days after the trade, Seattle made that move by signing Darnold to a 3-year, $100 million contract. The former third overall pick is coming off a comeback season with the Vikings, where he played very well, at least enough to earn another shot. Now he gets a chance to lead the Seahawks. Seattle's offseason overhaul didn't stop there. Before the Smith trade, the Seahawks already made major changes, including trading DK Metcalf and releasing veteran Tyler Lockett. These moves signaled a shift toward younger talent and possibly a rebuild. Before dealing Metcalf, the Seahawks had about $62.5 million in cap space. Now, after the trade and signing Darnold, they sit at $67 million in available cap space, giving them flexibility for more moves. Even with Darnold on board, Seattle could still look to draft a quarterback in the later rounds. If they miss out on the top prospects, they could take a chance on Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, or even Jalen Milroe on day 2 or 3 of the draft. With so many moving pieces, both teams are at a crossroads. The Raiders are pushing to compete now, while the Seahawks are reshaping the roster. Will Smith thrive in Vegas under his old head coach? Can Darnold prove he's a long-term answer in Seattle? Only time will tell. What do you think of the trade? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more NFL updates.